Hi everyone, the Alan Stack here. Welcome to another video. Today I wanted to discuss some of the potential changes that might come in when the autumn budget is announced later on this month. So there's a few things that have been floating around that people think are going to be some of the changes that Labour might make. Not all of them are going to impact precious metals, etc. But I think the main thing that I've seen people raise concerns around is around capital gains tax and the changes that might be put in place for this. So capital gains tax is obviously a tax levied on when you sell assets. So the disposal of those assets, if you say bought something for £100, sell it for £200, then you're then liable for the tax on the portion that you've made from that original purchase, so that £100 difference. And where that has impacts on precious metals, it impacts certain types of coins, bars, etc. So the current rate varies for capital gains somewhere between 10 and 20% depending on tax status, etc. So there is a proposal, or there is thought, that Labour might change this to be more in line with the higher rate of income tax, or the additional rate of income tax, which is 45%. The CGT allowance is obviously dropped over recent years as well. So a few years ago, the CGT allowance was £12,300 per year. So you were able to buy and sell assets, and if you made a profit underneath that £12,300, then you wouldn't be liable for any CGT on any of that profit. And then if you exceeded that, then you would be taxed at that marginal rate, depending on how much income tax you pay. Then the Tory government has dropped that, so it now stands at £3,000 per year, so drastically lower than it was a couple of years ago, so from 12,000 down to 3,000. So there's concerns, obviously, if they might drop that even further potentially, but if they increase the amount of tax that's payable on those capital gains, is going to have a significant impact. And where that leads into precious metals is stuff or coins and bars that are, for example, coins that are not issued by the Royal Mint. So something like a American Eagle, a Krugerrand, a Maple, etc. If you have a stack of 1 ounce gold Krugerrands, for example, and you decide, I'm going to sell all of them, then capital gains is liable on any profit you make on that. And if the rate is at 45%, you're nearly giving away half of your profit that you've made on those coins as they've appreciated in value with the spot price going up, for example. Bars are also applicable for CGT. They're not classed as legal tender like coinage is, so there's no monetary value to bars, etc. So if you have a stack of bars that you look to liquidate, then again CGT could be applicable, and at that higher rate if they change the percentages up to 45%. So one of the things that I changed, originally when I started stacking, I had coins from various different mints across the world. So I had some Maples, Eagles, Krugerrands, etc. And I sold those relatively early on when I started stacking, and switched to coinage issued from the UK, so that in the future, if I did look to sell, then capital gains would not be applicable. Now, I don't have much in the way of coinage or bars that's not issued by the Royal Mint, so I have a couple of silver coins that you can see here. As I said, this bar, even though issued by the Royal Mint, as it's a bar, it would still be classified for CGT, but This is the only bar that I now have. I sold most of the silver that I have, apart from some of the proof 1 ounce coins that I have, and then focus mainly on gold coins issued by the mint. And obviously the mint has its own pros and cons in the fact of all the other things that have been going on with the Royal Mint lately around price increases, quality control, all that good stuff. So I won't go into too much of that at the moment, but that's one of the reasons that I kind of switched to UK coinage based on CGT at its current rates anyway. And then obviously if that then increases, that's only going to have a bigger impact if you look to liquidate at some point in the future. No, not saying that these changes will happen. These are all speculation, so we won't know until the actual budget is announced. And again, by the time some people come to sell, if you ever look to sell in the future, these might have changed again multiple times between now and that point in time. So don't take it too seriously, but it's just something that to consider if you're in or about to look to potentially sell some of your coinage or bars, as the spot price, especially on gold, has increasingly shot up over the last few weeks. So I had a look. I think over the last 3 years, gold has increased just over 60%, which is quite a marked increase. In line with quite a lot of the equity stocks that are out there as well. So gold hasn't done too bad, but that's probably mainly due to the unrest around the global political situation at the moment in the Middle East. So that's the main theme that I think that potentially could impact stacking from the budget in the end of October. I think there's also potential that they're making changes to other things. So inheritance tax might be looked at as well. Again, not necessarily something that's going to impact stacking. Pensions, potentially there's going to be stuff, but that's it. Obviously, again, not directly linked to precious metals, but obviously most people will have a work-based pension. So whether you save additional money into a pension outside of potentially your stack, there is scope that they're looking at maybe having a blended tax relief amount. So depending on your current income tax rate is the amount of pension relief that you can achieve. So basic rate 20%, additional or higher rate at 40%, and additional rate of 45%. There's talk that they're going to blend that across and have a flat 30% relief across all tax brands, which will have a very significant impact on quite a lot of people's pensions and the way that they save. So hopefully that one doesn't come into fruition, but again, we'll have to wait and see. And then I know dividends is another thing that potentially, if you have stocks and shares ISAs and those kind of things, are potentially in line for amendment as well. So the dividend allowance has also been reduced in line or at the same time when CGT was done by the Tories. So that's come down from £2,000 a year down to £500 a year. And there is talk that the budget might then cut that further to £250 per year. So anything outside of a tax efficient or tax wrapped product, so a general investing account, for example, any dividends that you create or that you earn over that £250 per year would then become liable for tax. So it's just important to make sure that anything that you do have in, say, stocks and shares is within an ISA product or a tax efficient product wherever you live, just so if these do get reduced further, then you're not going to be stung for taxes on the stuff that you've made an income from. So yeah, those are just some of the main things that I think potentially could impact once the budget is announced later on this month. But let me know your thoughts and comments down below. Thanks very much for watching, and I'll catch you all on the next one.